be talking about an interesting topic that I feel God has been dealing with in my own life, and it has really encouraged me to work on myself and to become better. I actually wrote a blog post about it on my blog, and the details are in the description box below, and you might just want to go and check that out. So let's get right into it. So I've always been that type of person who has been always fearful and over conscious about what people think about me. And even if it's I want to do something that I love doing, or something that I think, oh, I should pursue this, or maybe it is an idea that God gave me, or it is something that I feel I need to say to someone, I would before I would do it, I would always be like thinking, oh, what will people say, what will people think about me if I do this? And just dwelling in this phase and in this cage of what people think, and how people look at me, it really belittled my abilities, and it really belittled what I could do, because I always used to look at myself in the eyes that society views me. I would always look at myself with the eyes of, how does this person look at me, or how do I think that this person looks at me? And I never looked at myself in the eyes of God. I never looked at myself through the eyes of God. I never looked at my abilities through, the eyes of God. I never looked at myself and what I could do through, what does God think I can do? I always looked at myself and limited myself to, oh, what do people think I can do? And even if God tells me to do something, I wouldn't do it, because I was at that place where I'm looking at it from a human point of view, and I'm looking at it. I might even believe in myself that I can do it, but it's just because I feel like A, B, or C feels like I can do it. In the end, I limit myself, and I was just limited to society's perception about me and society's expectations, and I just live my life according to that, until I just told myself that, Rue, you know what, fulfilling your destiny, fulfilling your dreams, going after your passions, it's far more important than what anyone can ever think about you. Doing what you love, starting that business, starting that project, it's far more important than what people think about you. God just started dealing with me and telling me, it's all about what God thinks about you. And I think my pastor said something about that a couple of weeks ago. He talked about the difference between reputation and character. And he said reputation is what people think about you, whilst character is what God thinks about you. And it just struck me, and I was like, Rue, you know what, you should build on your character. You should work on yourself. You should evaluate yourself, not at the standard of what you think people see, or not at the standard of the human eye, but at the standard of God. When God gives you an assignment, or when God gives you an idea, or that business that you want to start, or that project, or whatever it is, or that thing that you want to say, the fact that you thought about it, it means that you can do it, and you have the power to do it. And that voice that tells you you cannot do it, that voice that tells you, oh, don't do it, people won't like it, that voice that just limits you or tells you you can't, it's from the devil. Because the God is that voice that always tells you, I'm with you, you can do it. Because I was just thinking about it, that sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, I can do it. And sometimes it is true, because we can't do anything on our own. Everything that we do, everything that we can do, it is God. It is God who does it through us. So you have to believe in God more than you believe in what people say. You have to believe in God, what God says about you, to be able to execute whatever you want to execute. And I just got to a point where I was just like, you don't, all these things and all these fears that you have and over consciousness that you're having, these are just excuses. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. You don't need to explain why you're doing certain things, why you're fulfilling your destiny, why you're doing what God has you to do. You don't owe anyone that explanation. The only person you owe an explanation is God. You owe God to do what He has you to do, and you owe yourself to do what you love and to pursue your dreams and to be that person you want to be. I just had to tell myself, you know what? You were not made to be small. You were not made to be a coward. You were made to shine. You were made to rise. You were made to be, the best you can be. That fire that God has given you, or that light that God has given you, it is your responsibility to keep fueling it. It is your responsibility to keep listening to the voice of God that tells you you can do it, and not giving chance to the voice of the enemy that gives you doubt. Because the thing with fire is, if you don't, from the moment you stop fueling it, from the moment you stop putting positivity in your dreams, the moment you stop putting that drive, your fire starts to die. The only time fire stops is when it is completely off, or when it is shining at its brightest. And the point is shining at its brightest. The moment you stop putting more wood, that is when it starts dying. And we just have to keep working on ourselves and not being conscious of what people say, because you're the one who will feel empty at the end of the day, not the people who you're over conscious about, not the people you're thinking, oh, what would this person say. They're going on with their lives, and it's your life that will suffer. So don't keep what God has given you. That light that God has given you, don't put it under a bush. Don't cover it. Let it shine, because everything that God has given us, it is for us to use. It is for us to multiply. It is for us to work with. The parable of the talents in the Bible even tells us of how that one guy who got one talent, he just didn't use it, and at the end of the day, it was taken away from it. Your talents, everything that you have inside of you, if you stop using it, the fire that you have, if you stop using it, it will go off. That talent that God will take it and will give it to someone else, because God's business is for His business to be done. So if you're not doing God's business, God will just give it to someone else to do. So there is no excuse. The God who gave you that ability, the God who gave you that idea, has already, before He gave you that idea, before He put that thing in you, He had already put inside of you the ability to execute it. Everything that you need in this life, God has already put inside of you. The courage, the ideas, everything, it's already inside of you. It is just not listening to the devil's lies that tell you you can't do it. No, the devil is a liar. God is true and the devil is a liar. You can do it. You can be that businesswoman you want to be. You can be that woman of God you want to be. You can be anything, because everything that God gives you, you can do it. Matthew 25 verse 29 says, for to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have in abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And this is just a scripture that freaks me out. Oh, yo, God, please don't ever take away what you have given to me. Give me the courage, give me the strength to always pursue what you want me to do. Give me the strength and the courage to look at you. Let my eyes always be on you, to do what you would rather have me do, and to use everything that you put inside of me. Don't let me make it die. Don't let that thing that God put inside of you to die. Don't let it die. Just work on it. do what you can. It doesn't mean that, in one night, in a snap of a finger, you just going to be that, great billionaire. You're going to be that great woman of God. It's baby steps, working on yourself. Everything in our life, we are moving in stages. Everything that just doesn't happen in one day. Give an example of an aeroplane, and when an aeroplane is about to take off, it just doesn't the pilot just doesn't go inside and just starts it, and then it's going. It goes on the runway first. It goes slowly, increases speed, and until it takes off. And that's the same thing with our dreams and that business and whatever it is that you want to do or pursue. Baby steps until we achieve it, because everything that God has given us, it is to glorify God. Every gift, every talent that God has given us, it is to glorify Him, because the Bible in Matthew 5 verse 16 says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So I shouldn't be worried about, um what will people think about what I do. If it is God who gave you that thing, it is to glorify Him. Do your part. Your part is not to make people glorify God for what you've done, or that is God's part. God knows why He gave that assignment to you. God knows who you're supposed to reach. My part is to do what God would have me to do. And if people don't glorify God, if people around me don't see it, or if people around me are talking nonsense and are not glorifying God about what I'm doing, well, that's their business. The Bible in Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. So you see, God has thoughts that He thinks towards me. And this is just so mind-blowing for me to think that, so I'm here thinking about what this person thinks about me, and I'm here thinking about what A, B, or C thinks about me. And when actually God has thoughts towards me, God has thoughts of good, not of evil. That is just what really matters, what God thinks towards me. I just want to encourage someone that that thing that you set your mind to do, you can do it, you can accomplish it. With God, all things are possible. With men may look at it and say, oh, it is impossible. Ru cannot achieve this. But God is faithful. Everything that He put inside of you, He will accomplish. So you were made to shine. You were made to rise. You are more than a conqueror. You are powerful. You are influential. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Do not be discouraged. Do not listen to the devil's lies that you can't do it. The devil is a liar. And do not let people hold you down. Do not let people's perceptions or thoughts or expectations about you hold you down. Work with God. Work with what God says about you. Work with what God gives you and what God says you can do. And trust me, guys, with this you can do much more than you would ever imagine. Very much for watching. I hope you have been blessed. I hope you've been encouraged. Please thumbs up this video, and please subscribe to my channel, and hope to see you in the next one. Be blessed. Bye.